For native accused of strangling her 3 children to death before attempting to take her own life was arraigned today. Lindsay Clancy was arraigned via Zoom from her hospital bed today. She's accused of strangling her 3 kids with exercise bands in the basement of her Duxbury, Massachusetts home before jumping out of the second-floor window. Clancy suffered several spinal fractures and is now paralyzed. Her defense attorney is saying that she was suffering from postpartum depression and was taking several prescribed drugs, including Prozac and Seroquel. Meanwhile, prosecutors argue Clancy planned the murders. She will remain hospitalized, and a judge has not set a bail amount, calling her a limited flight risk.
The defendant did not take advantage of the situation when her husband left the home that night. She created the situation.
This is not a situation, Your Honor, that was planned by any means. This is a situation that clearly was a product of mental illness.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Yes, we are here once again talking about a 32-year-old Lindsay Clancy from Duxbury, Massachusetts. I don't know about you guys, but this case has just consumed me. It has everything that is horrific. The details are horrific. It has mental health. It has postpartum depression, psychosis. It has everything that just has me wanting to learn more, and I can't get enough of it. Combined with the horrific details, I just want to talk to you guys about it. Now, yesterday, Lindsay had her arraignment hearing, and in my opinion, the prosecution came out strong. Today's video is going to be a timeline for you guys, and I'm only going to use what we know from law enforcement, not from what we know in the Facebook group, social media, YouTube, mainstream media, none of that, only what we have from law enforcement.
But before we get started with any of that, if you have not done so already, can you just hook your girl up by hitting that like button? It really does help the channel out. And at the end of this video, if you enjoyed it and you're not yet part of the fam, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, you guys, let's get started with today's timeline. Now, on the morning of January 24th, Lindsay would take her 5-year-old daughter, Cora, to a pediatric appointment. Here, she would speak with the doctor, the front desk receptionist, and also a nurse, in which all of them stated that Lindsay was acting normal and there was nothing out of the ordinary about her behavior. Now, after the pediatrics appointment, Lindsay would return home, and this is when she took Cora and her 3-year-old son, Dawson, out in the backyard where they played in the snow and they built a snowman. Now, Lindsay was taking photos. She was also communicating through text with her mom, sending photos to her, and also with her husband, who was at the time working in his home office in the basement. Once again, her husband and Lindsay's mother stated there was nothing out of the ordinary during these messages or during this time. Now we're going to get into some timestamps. At 4:02 p.m., Lindsay searched on her phone Kids Miralax, and that's to treat constipation. At 4:13 p.m., again on her cell phone, she searched Takeout 3V Restaurant. Immediately after that, she used her Apple Maps to determine how long it would take someone to drive from her home in Duxbury to the 3V restaurant. At 4:47 p.m., Lindsay would go on a CVS website, in which she would then call CVS, and she spoke with a manager. Now, she asked the manager if they had the Kids Miralax in stock, in which the manager had told her no, they did not, but that they did have a similar medication. Once again, there was nothing out of the ordinary with Lindsay's behavior during this phone call. At 4:53 p.m., Lindsay would text her husband, who was working in the basement in his home office. She texted him, "Any chance you want to do takeout from 3V? I didn't cook anything. It's been a long day." Now, this was an unusual request, since when they do order takeout, they usually do go somewhere closer to home. But it is noted that they have been to this restaurant in the past. At 5:06 p.m., Patrick would text Lindsay asking what she wanted to get from the restaurant. She would respond with a Mediterranean power bowl. Now at 5:10 p.m., Lindsay would call the restaurant to place the order. Now, again, there was nothing out of the ordinary with this phone call. Now at 5:15 p.m., Patrick would leave their home in Duxbury to go pick up the food and medication. Lindsay would text him the name of medication to get. At 5:32 p.m., surveillance footage would show Patrick at the CVS in the children's medication aisle. At 5:33 p.m., Patrick would call Lindsay, in which she did not answer her phone. At 5:34 p.m., so just a minute later, Lindsay would return the phone call. Now, the call lasted only 14 seconds. Now, the reason for the phone call is because Patrick was unsure what medication to get. Now, she tells him exactly what she wants, and everything seemed fine with that phone call, except the only thing that stood out was that Lindsay did sound like she was in the middle of something. At 5:37 p.m., he leaves the CVS and heads over to the restaurant, in which he would arrive there at 5:54 p.m. He picks up the food and leaves within a minute. Now, Patrick would then return home with the food and medication. Now, when he would enter the home, he said the first thing he noticed was how quiet it was. He did not see Cora, Dawson, Callan, or his wife, Lindsay. At 6:09 p.m., this is when he would call Lindsay's cell phone looking for them, and of course she did not answer. He then proceeds to go to their bedroom, which is on the second floor. When he gets there, he notices the door was locked. He managed to get inside, and this is when he saw blood on the floor in front of a full-length mirror, and the window was open. Now, Patrick immediately runs downstairs to the backyard, and he sees Lindsay on the ground. She had cuts to her wrist and neck. Now, she was conscious, and Patrick did ask her, "What did you do?" She responded, "I tried to kill myself and jumped out the window." At 6:11 p.m., Patrick places the 911 call. Now, during the 911 call, Patrick did tell the dispatcher that Lindsay did have cuts to her neck and wrist, but that they were no longer bleeding. Also, during the 911 call, you can hear Patrick asking Lindsay, "Where are the kids?" in which she responded, "In the basement." Now, the next part, before going forward, I do just want to give a little trigger warning because I'm going to go into the details of where the children were found and how. Now, all the children would be found in the basement, but 5-year-old Cora and her brother, 8-month-old Callan, they would be found on the floor in the den area of the basement. As far as 3-year-old Dawson, he would be found alone on the floor in Patrick's work office part of the basement. Now, this next part is really hard for me as a mom to record, but we have 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan. Each of the children were found with an exercise band around their necks, which was used to strangle them. Now, Dawson and Callan, they were found face down. As far as Cora, she was found on her side. Now, Patrick would remove their bands, begging them to breathe. Now, it has been stated that on the 911 call, you can hear Patrick's screams getting louder and louder and more horrific as he found each of his children deceased.
Lindsay Clancy appearing in court from her hospital bed, wiping away a tear as the prosecution detailed the disturbing allegations.
And then make sure the bands were squeezing their little necks for several minutes. She could have changed her mind at any point during that time and removed those bands from their necks.
Clancy's defense attorney painting a picture of a nurse who wanted to have kids and help other women, but was over-medicated and suffering from a mental illness.
The woman before you, who was a beautiful person, who was thoroughly destroyed by these medications.